Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andrew Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner and Ash Paulson to discuss our thoughts and predictions for E3 2014. So let's get started. Alright guys, E3 2014 is super close now. We actually meant to do this discussion a little while ago, but a bunch of stuff just kept happening that kept pushing it off. So here we are, and we're just going to give our general thoughts and our wild ideas for what they might show off at E3 2014. And specifically, we're going to start off with Nintendo, and we'll cover the other console makers toward the end, I think. And so far, there are a few things that we're pretty confident are going to be showing off. And that includes Smash Brothers, Hyrule Warriors, Bayonetta 2, the new Pokemon games, Monolith Soft's X, and Zelda Wii U. So taking all of that into account, let's start off with your guys' overall impressions of what do you expect going into E3?
You know, going into this E3, I mean, you know, we obviously cover Nintendo the most out of all the systems, but that doesn't mean I don't keep track of the other guys. But I gotta say, I think Nintendo has the most momentum going in, at least as far as like things that could happen for them. Because they've announced all these E3 plans with the Direct, with all the streaming they're going to be doing, with the Smash Brothers tournament. Like, it feels like even though they're not having a press conference, they have a huge presence this year.
Right.
And it's kind of odd because I really don't have much of an idea of what the other two are going to do. On the other hand, Nintendo, as you said, we know what they're going to be showing off. We know what they have, and all of them look like pretty great games.
Yeah, and we know that Mario Kart 8 has helped move a few Wii U's, and it's being received very well. So I agree with you, Derek. It definitely feels like Nintendo has the most momentum going in. It's uncommon to them to do what they're doing with the Smash Brothers Invitational. You know, they're partnering with Twitch. They're inviting some of the best tournament players from around the country. Like, they're really listening to fans in terms of what they want to see with Smash Brothers. And it seems like we're seeing kind of a new face of Nintendo this year. And as we all know, you know, Nintendo backed into a corner is the best Nintendo, and they really have the most they really have the least to lose. You know, the Wii U's not doing that well right now, so they might as well just go all in, and it kind of feels like that's what they're doing this year.
So I guess of the things we know about, what are you guys most excited for?
Obviously, I think it's the same for all three of us. We just want to play Smash. I think that's
exactly
what it comes down to. Like, I mean, of course, I'm excited for all the rest of those. I'm actually very curious about Hyrule Warriors and, of course, Zelda Wii U. Mm-hmm. And I never played the first Bayonetta, so I am quite intrigued by Bayonetta 2. But obviously, it's all about Smash. We've talked about it every week ever since November. There's always new stuff coming out, and the chance to finally be able to get to play it, I think, is just the biggest thing that you can expect out of E3. And yeah, that's probably what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy answer for me too. It's obviously Smash Brothers. I mean, aside from the fact that Mega Man's in it, which is a huge deal for me, I'm just that just catapults my excitement that much more, and that's what I really want to play more than anything. Of course, I'm excited about Hyrule Warriors and some of the other stuff I know we're going to see. I actually am really excited to see more of Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, just because I love Generation 3. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those remakes. But yeah, I mean, really, everything else pales in comparison to Smash for me.
Huh, interesting. I'm actually feeling a little bit different. You know, I'm obviously excited for Smash. I love Smash Brothers. But I kind of feel like I already know how it's going to play. Like, I've already played 3 of them, and there will be some tweaks here and there, of course. I'm actually way more excited to see Zelda on Wii U. I really want to see what they're doing there. I feel like Smash is kind of a known quantity, and I'll love it when it comes out, I'm sure. But because I know what to expect, it's not the thing I'm most excited for at E3. So I'm definitely more excited to see what they're doing with Zelda, because we haven't seen it since the tech demo, and even that, they said then it wasn't indicator of how the game will actually turn out. So, with that said, it also has the most room to disappoint me. They could show something, that I just don't like at all, which they've done before. So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I just really want to see what they're doing there, and I'm hoping that it just blows me out of the water.
I agree. I mean, I think Zelda Wii U is exciting, and I am looking forward to seeing what they're doing with it. I don't know. I guess I just have this, lust for playing Smash, and even though I know, like, yeah, I mean, even though I know it's obviously a known quantity, I know how it's going to play, I know it's going to look like. The way that we've had information revealed with Smash, like, we've seen so many screenshots and so little actual footage. I mean, especially before the April Direct, Before that, we had seen so little footage, and we still haven't seen that much. And so I'm sure I'll feel like I'll have seen more than enough after E3 between, the demos playable for us and the Invitational. But going into it, I just feel like there's still, as much as we do know about Smash, there's so much we still don't really know, especially about the Wii U version. So I don't know, I think that's why I'm looking forward to it so much, because we really still, don't know that much about it. We haven't even seen the interface yet.
That's partly where I was coming from, too, is that it is all just screenshots. So a lot of our discussions just come down to how will this play? And I think that's why I'm so excited about it, is because we'll finally learn how will it play. But more, as far as Zelda's concerned, of course I'm excited for it. I mean, the tech demo they showed, it looks really nice. If the screenshots of Hyrule Warriors and how it looks now are any indication, this could be a very beautiful game. Mm-hmm. Although your mention of how the tech demo, of course, makes me think of years ago with the whole Space World demo between the fight between Ganondorf and Link, and then the next time a game was shown off, it was Wind Waker. So I think a part of me would just laugh like crazy if Nintendo unveiled a third new style for Link, and it's completely different from Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time version, where it's, I don't know, I don't even know what they could do. Maybe he looks like a clown or something, or maybe Tingle's the hero or something just insane that people weren't expecting. And I think I probably would be cautious about it, but I think I'd have a laugh about how much they just again threw people off. But yeah, as much as as much as I'd love to see Nintendo troll us with Zelda, I think the biggest, I guess, almost trolling has been, as far as like information or lack thereof, is X, which we don't know anything about, really. I mean, we have obviously two different demos of it, one showing actual gameplay. It looks gorgeous. It's almost definitely a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles. What I'm curious about, though, is why they haven't shown off the title for it, why they've kept it secret for so long, especially since, according to everything we've seen, it's supposed to still come out in this year. So why have they been so secretive for it? And I have talked a little bit to Emil Chugger Conroy about this on Skype, and he believes that it's because that the developers don't want any spoilers for it. They want people to come in fresh and really have like this air of mystery about it, and if that's what they're going for, by God, they're succeeding.
Definitely, and I think that actually might be the other thing I'm coming from Nintendo that I'm most excited about, just because we know so little about it. And I don't know, Xenoblade, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I know a lot of people just loved it, said it was one of the best JRPGs ever, and I did love a lot about it. But there are some things I wasn't so crazy about. But I am really curious to see what they're doing with X, and it does seem to be a sequel, or at least a spiritual sequel to Xenoblade, but it just looks so beautiful from the trailers we've seen, and it just looks like something that's a little different from anything we've seen on Wii U so far. So I think I'm really intrigued by that as well.
So that covers it for all the known quantities, from Nintendo pretty much that we know about. Are probably going to be there for sure. But of course, E3 is a time of surprises, and a few companies are better at that than Nintendo, where they could just announce really anything. So I thought we'd go down our list of predictions here, just giving, not necessarily even things we think will happen, but just maybe could happen, and then we'll all give our feedback on it. So I guess I'll start things off here, and I think Nintendo will announce Mario Kart DLC, which we've already talked about a lot before. But I think there's a strong chance that they will do that, because they've been doing it recently with several other games. And I would be very surprised if they don't continue to build on that game with new characters and new courses.
It almost seems so certain anymore that it almost could be a known quantity, just because this game is selling so well. I believe the UK has like what, a 666% increase in sales on the Wii U. It sold like what, 1.1 million in its first weekend. Yeah, over 1 million in its first weekend. So this is a definite success for Nintendo. So to not capitalize on that with DLC would strike me as very odd, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo knows they need to keep this momentum going for the Wii U. This is the best momentum the Wii U has ever had. And I know, we all know they need to keep it going. And DLC is the best way to do that. It keeps the game alive, it keeps it fresh, and it ensures that people aren't just going to get tired of it and then possibly, return their Wii U's. So I think that Mario Kart 8 DLC, especially track DLC, is almost a given at this point.
All right, how about you, Derek? What's your first prediction?
I think one of Nintendo's old franchises is definitely going to return this year. I don't know, I can't say which one. My gut feeling tells me Star Fox, But I definitely think at least one of the franchises we haven't seen from in quite a while is probably going to have a new game this year.
I think there's a good chance of that because they've kind of exhausted most of their main franchises already, including the ones that we know about that are coming up, like Zelda, of course. So yeah, they're either going to have to invent some new ones or reach into their their well of vast IP history. I'd love to see a new F-Zero or a Star Fox, assuming they do Star Fox well, which they haven't in forever.
Right.
So yeah, I would agree. I think there's a very strong chance that they could do something along those lines.
Going off that, I think that we could see a new Metroid game. Personally, because we've had subtle hints, such as at the the VGX Awards or VGAs. Retroid walked out.
You call it Retroid?
Retroid. I'd call him Retroid. Wow,
that's awesome.
That was amazing. No, Reggie walked out wearing a little Metroid pin.
That's right.
And I don't know, that there have been subtle little hints here and there, and I would not at all be surprised to see a new Metroid on 3DS. I don't think it'll happen on Wii U quite yet, but I do think we could see a new Metroid, a 2D Metroid at that, on 3DS.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a 2D Metroid. It has been a game that we haven't seen terribly recently. I mean, the last one was Other M on Wii. Yeah, I think there's a good chance of that happening. I will say, if they can match the caliber of Metroid Prime 1, that'd be awesome. I'd love that game. But I would rather them bring back another older franchise than Metroid, one that we haven't seen. The one that we haven't seen as recently as Metroid. So, I mean, it'd be cool. I'd be in favor of it. It's just that I'd rather it be something else.
Sure.
Although, if they do both, that'd be awesome. Metroid and another older IP.
Oh, if we can get multiple old franchises returning, let's get a new F-Zero, Star Fox, and Metroid. That'd be perfect.
Let's just get every IP Nintendo's ever made in updated form.
New Ice Climbers.
New Stone Ice FX. Finally gonna happen.
Yeah, totally. Now, as far as Metroid is concerned, I'd love to see a new one. I love the fact that if Retro finally decided, you know what, we are going to do a Metroid Dread. We're planning on it, but you know what, we are going to do it. And they release it for the 3DS and actually set it after Metroid Fusion, which we have. It's been a very long time since we've progressed the actual plot of Metroid beyond that game. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what they can do with a 2D Metroid, because we know they can do 3D Metroids really well. So and obviously do 2D really well with Donkey Kong Country. So let's see how they combine Metroid with the 2D classics, and maybe even give some new abilities for it because of the whole 3D aspect of the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a 2D Metroid game, especially in an era where there have been several games like that since. It'd be fun to see what Nintendo can do, with a new installment. Alright, speaking of old franchises, my next prediction is that Majora's Mask 3DS will be announced. A remake of Majora's Mask from the N64, very much in the same vein as Ocarina of Time. I feel like, for me, that's a near certainty. We haven't heard, anything from the developer of Ocarina of Time 3D, what they've been up to since. And it just makes sense to remake Majora's Mask because it uses the same engine. They could just reuse the same engine they already updated for Ocarina of Time 3D, like they did with the original release. So yeah, I think that's almost a guarantee that we'll see that game come to 3DS.
I agree. I think that's practically guaranteed. With all the, there have been so many hints dropped, especially in A Link Between Worlds. There were several hints in that game that Majora's Mask 3D was coming. So I think it's all but guaranteed at this point that we'll see it at E3.
Yeah, I'm totally with you guys. The question I have is when, because obviously we have the new Zelda Wii U coming, which definitely won't be releasing this year, probably next year sometime. And then we also have Hyrule Warriors. So you don't want to have too much Zelda coming out at the same time. At least you wouldn't think you would want to have too much Zelda coming out at the same time. So I think if it does get announced, it probably won't. It'll probably have a early 2015 release, and then have Zelda Wii U come out later in 2015. That'd be my guess.
Really? I think it would be, if they announce it, I think it'd be this year.
I think so too.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, I feel like it would even be late summer. Because I feel like it's a remake, and it's something that they can do a little more quickly than a completely new game. So yep. I feel like Majora's Mask 3D, if it was announced, and it probably will be, it could come out late this summer, and that obviously does put it close to Hyrule Warriors, but we might not see Hyrule Warriors until October, so I could easily see Majora's Mask 3D coming out August, something like that.
And Hyrule Warriors isn't even a core installment in the series, so it's not really conflicting there directly. They just share a name, basically, and characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, especially because, I think it will come out this year, especially because, it's been years now since Ocarina of Time 3D. I feel like that game, assuming they're making it, has to be pretty close to being done. It's almost surprising as it hasn't been released already, actually. Yeah, so I think that's a sure thing. How about you, Derek? What's your next prediction?
Well, I'm kind of going along that same lines, and I'm sort of conflicted on this one. I think that Platinum is going to release the first Bayonetta on the Wii U.
Whoa.
Eventually. I'm not positive. Like I said, I'm conflicted on it. I think it's a good idea because I think a lot of Nintendo fans have not played Bayonetta. Like, if they were a sole Nintendo Wii fan, they did not play it. Heck, I had a Wii and a PS3, and I've never played it because the PS3 version was just not that great.
Right.
So I'm really hoping they can try to drum up some interest for it, or even after Bayonetta 2 comes out to release it. It seems like it would be dumb. Anyway, but I feel like it'd be a good way to drum up hype for Bayonetta 2 is to have Bayonetta Classic available as well on the Wii U. And, I'd certainly buy it because I want to experience this game. I've never tried it before. It looks awesome. But I don't want to get the crappy PS3 version.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I don't know where they would find the time to do it because it seems like Bayonetta 2 is just taking them so long to release anyway. So I don't know if it would actually happen before Bayonetta 2 comes out. But I think it's definitely a possibility that could happen.
The only way I could see it happening is that it's part of a bundle deal with the game. Like, buy Bayonetta 2, you get the first one for free or something. I don't think they'll do that. And I think releasing it, especially if they released it before Bayonetta 2, might actually diminish some of the hype for the sequel. It's like, well, I got my fill, I don't need to play the sequel now. So I actually don't think they will, unless it's part of a bundle deal where it comes free with the second game.
It could be. I mean, it all really depends on the timing. I think with Bayonetta 2 seemingly so close, it does seem like they've lost the opportunity to do that. But if they had done it like a year before Bayonetta 2 was supposed to come out,
that could have worked.
I could have seen it working, but it does seem less likely now that it's closer.
Yep. All right. How about you, Ash? What's your next prediction?
I guess I'll just kind of roll through a few things I think are going to happen with Smash. I think it's almost a certainty that we're going to see Pac-Man revealed as a newcomer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a great prediction. I didn't even write that down. I guess just because I'm assuming that to be so true at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know Bandai Namco is obviously working in the game a lot, and we know Sakurai has said in interviews that Pac-Man is one of his favorite characters, and that if he could choose a Bandai Namco character to include in Smash, that it would be Pac-Man. So I think the writing's on the wall. I think the bigger question is what version of Pac-Man, whether it's going to be a more classic Pac-Man or the Pac-Man we see in the new Pac-Man games that have been coming out.
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like it would have to be a take on modern Pac-Man. I think they would do kind of like what they did with Mega Man, right?
Right.
So I think they could update classic Pac-Man in a form that resembles modern Pac-Man. So, kind of a merging of the two. I think it would work really well. And I feel like it does have to link closer, though, to modern Pac-Man, just because it's just logistically way easier to work with that than it would trying to base something purely off classic Pac-Man.
Yeah, you need to have arms and legs for a fighting game, so... I mean, it's not always necessary, but it kind of helps. If they want to work in classic Pac-Man in any way, because I'm with you guys. I'm with Namco working on this. It seems like almost a given that Pac-Man will show up in some form. But I think they could work in his classic form, because we all sort of expect his final smash, if he is in the game, to be a power pellet where he just chomps on everybody on the map. So he could turn into his classic form for that final smash. And there you go. That's how you work him in. Yep.
That's true. I do think we'll see maybe one or two newcomers besides Pac-Man, just given that this is E3, this is the best place to do a couple of new, blow out a few newcomers. And I do think we could see maybe one or two veterans revealed as well. I actually would not be surprised if, given that we know Nintendo is doing such a great job listening to their fans for the Invitational, they probably know that Captain Falcon is like, a huge fan character, that he's got this fan following in terms of tournaments and internet memes. So I would be surprised to see them show off Captain Falcon at the end of the Invitational with a little teaser trailer or something.
That'd be a really good one. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. All right. Do you have any other Smash predictions, Ash? Or is that it?
Sorry. Actually, I did that. I think we'll get the release date for Smash 3DS. Not for Wii U, but I think we'll get the release date for 3DS.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, especially because that's going to be real soon after E3.
Yeah.
It would make the most sense to do it now.
And I'm guessing late August, early September.
Yeah, but I mean, that's as late as they could push it, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
My next prediction is that Yarn Yoshi will finally be shown off again. It's been, I think a year and a half since we saw it last. But it was listed in the paperwork or the documents from Iwata's recent investor meeting or shareholder meeting. So I think that does demonstrate it hasn't been canceled, as a lot of people thought it might have, and it will show up here in some form. Now, whether it's going to look the same or completely different, I have no idea. But it looks like it will be coming back. I think it's a safe assumption that it will be there in some form.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think I would have said no otherwise, but the investor meeting and showing it listed there has sort of proven it to me, and I am interested in the game. It seems like if they could do a whole Yoshi yarn line of games with starting with Kirby, now Yoshi, who knows who would be next, but I think it'd be really cool. Plus, what we did see of the game did look very interesting. Just the different styles at play and how it seems to have played. I don't know. I really do want to see it.
Yeah, and I think we'll see it too. I mean, at this point, if we don't see it this year, it would just be really strange because we've known about it for so long now. And I can't see it still being so far off that we wouldn't even see a bit of it this year at E3. So I don't know if it'll be playable. It might be, but I do think that we'll see it in some form.
I do have one more prediction for Nintendo, and that's I think it's almost a guarantee, is that Nintendo will announce some new partnerships as well. We've already seen a few, especially with Hyrule Warriors. And they've said they wanted to do a greater focus on that in their investor meeting. So I really think they're going to be announcing some new partnerships, and the most obvious one would be a return partnership with Sega in order to make a new F-Zero game like they did for GX. It seems to make a lot of sense. I mean, and of course, there's a ton of other possibilities there, including one that's already been announced, Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, which is another crossover I really can't wait to see and play, and collaboration. So I think I think there's probably going to be a few new ones announced, or at least show off more of Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
It does seem like it's about time to show more of that off, because I mean, we literally only have an announcement and that it's even being worked on. So it does seem like it's about time for us to kind of get more of an idea of what that actually is.
I think it's safe that we'll see more crossovers, or more at least working with other developers at E3, perhaps. I mean, I think it's very likely. I guess it might kind of tie into the whole bringing back older IPs that you were talking about, Derek. As with F-Zero, but a lot of people did love F-Zero GX. And Sega, and that game that game still looks awesome. I can only imagine how great that an update would look on Wii U. Like, if they can make Mario Kart 8 look as good as it did, putting F-Zero on Wii U just would look amazing, I think. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. The only reason I could see maybe them not doing it is because Mario Kart 8 kind of stole a little bit of Mario Kart or of F-Zero's thunder with the whole anti-gravity thing. But the two games really are very different, and even track design wise, it's completely different too, basically. Because Mario Kart never didn't really do any corkscrews or anything. Like, F-Zero just goes all out with that, whereas Mario Kart still play a little bit conservative. So yeah, I think that'd be really cool. So my next prediction is, what do you guys think about a new Mario game being shown? For me, I feel like there's almost definitely going to be some kind of core Mario game shown for sure. I mean, almost positively. Any kind of Mario game, absolutely, whether it's a spin-off title or something. But I feel like there's a good chance we'll see a core Mario game here. I just don't know exactly what form that would take. It seems to be a little bit too soon, maybe, for a new 3D one, such as Mario Galaxy 3 or something entirely new. Especially because we just got 3D World from the Galaxy team last year. So, but I feel like we'll see at least some Mario, some core Mario game here.
I don't agree with that, honestly. I think we'll agree. I do agree that we'll see Mario in some form, obviously, but I think it's way too soon for another Mario platformer.
Did you forget when they had New Super Mario Bros. 2 and New Super Mario Bros. U 3 months apart?
That's very true, but those are, two different systems and, two very similar games. But yeah, I think a core Mario game just usually has a lot of thought behind it, takes a lot of time, and even the split, time difference between Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 was 2 years?
Yeah, about two years or something. Yeah.
So still, a year difference between 3D World and whatever the next Mario platformer could be is way too soon. Personally, as far as a new Mario game, I'm hoping for a new Paper Mario.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool, and at the very least, I'll take a remake of Thousand Year Door.
No, I agree with you, Derek. I do think it's a little soon for a new Mario. I think if anything, the focus is going to be on Zelda this year with the Zelda Wii U. It does feel too soon for Mario. I think Nintendo feels like they might be in a little, not danger, but they might be at risk of pouring out Mario too much with all the recent releases and all the new Super Mario Brothers games. So I do think it's a little soon to see a new core Mario game, but I do think we'll see Mario in some form, like you said. And I think that if we do, the most likely form is Paper Mario. I actually do think that we could see possibly a new Paper Mario console game. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all.
God, that would be awesome, especially if it actually goes back to how Paper Mario used to be, instead of the more recent games, which I love the first two games, and the newer ones I really couldn't care much, care less about it, really. Yeah, and Thousand Year Door is a fantastic game, and I would be happy with even, just an update of that. Alright, how about you, Ashley, any more predictions?
I think it's kind of a way to bolster the Wii U's library and kind of, fill in some holes. I think we might see some more HD remakes coming down, specifically of other GameCube games, such as Super Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime. I don't know exactly what game we'll see a remake of, but it seems like a fairly easy way for Nintendo to kind of, like I said, kind of fill out the Wii U's library, especially if they themselves admitted that it didn't really take that long for them to develop Wind Waker HD, which ended up looking amazing, by the way.
It did. I think it's one of the best looking Wii U games. No, I'm in complete agreement with you there, especially because Nintendo talked about, in their Iwata Asks for Wind Waker HD, but how they developed conversion software to bring games from the GameCube over to the Wii U. And it seems like kind of a waste just to use it on one game. So yeah, those games, GameCube games are actually kind of old now, and a lot of people didn't play them by virtue of the fact it was on, one of the lesser selling hardwares, made by Nintendo, which is kind of ironic bringing it to an even worse selling platform. But no, I think it makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see updates of, Mario Sunshine, maybe F-Zero GX, for instance. That'd be one way of getting onto the platform. Luigi's Mansion, really tons of games they could work with. Wave Race. Yeah, I think I'd be totally on board for bringing more of those there. But it had some great games.
I would love to see an HD remake of Wave Race Blue Storm. I'm just saying that right now.
God, that game is so criminally underrated.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, even for me, I wasn't blown away by it when it came out. I mean, it looked great, don't get me wrong. But as I've gone back and played it over the years, it's grown more and more on me. And I really do love that game. I think it's at least as good as the original game now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the other great thing about it is that they've found with the HD remake of Wind Waker, they improved the game. It wasn't just an HD remake. They actually went through and fixed some issues that a lot of players had with it, so they could do the same sort of thing here. And we all know your disdain for Mario Sunshine, so do you think it'd be possible for them to really fix up Sunshine to where you'd actually love the game?
I mean, I didn't think it was really possible with Wind Waker, and they did. So it would be awesome if they could do the same for Mario Sunshine. The problem is I don't think they can, because for Wind Waker the problems were more. I mean, the problems were more
about pace.
Yeah, well, there were more pacing problems, so they were able to rectify that actually pretty easily. Whereas Mario Sunshine, the problems are just so much more central to the game. They just cropped up throughout the game. But they could make it better. I had control issues with that game. They could improve those. If they find some way around the blue coins, that would definitely enhance my experience. So they could make it better. I mean, they could absolutely make it better. And whether they can make me like it or not, that's a challenge. But I'd be open to the possibility, and I'd love to see what they could do with that. And I will say the game would probably look amazing on Wii U. They updated in the same way they did with Wind Waker HD. Okay, so now my next prediction isn't really something I really believe myself, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. What do you guys think about Nintendo creating some kind of new IP? So for me, I don't know, Nintendo's been so hesitant to do anything new for, a big game. I don't think we'll see anything, big here either. It's possible we may see some smaller, eShop games, using new IP, along the lines of Pushmo or Dylan's Rolling Western. But I don't know if we'll see, any major big games that are completely new IP. That hasn't been done before. You
really don't think about that when it comes to Nintendo. You always like to see new IPs, but they just never come up.
It's been so long now. It's Pikmin is basically if you ignore all the Wii type games like Wii Sports, Wii Music, and all that. I don't think we've seen like a new character-based IP since Pikmin.
Yeah, a lot of these newer games have used the Miis, like as you said, Wii Sports, and even Tamagotchi Life uses the Miis. So it's hard to consider that a new IP because you're using characters that already exist.
Right.
So it makes it tricky. I'd love to see a new IP from Nintendo, whatever it might be. I mean, they have so many great ideas, and to just see it come to life. But they also have so many old IPs that they haven't used in a while. Like, I just thought of one right off the bat here. Custom Robo, they haven't done anything with in a while. And yeah, so there's all these IPs that are sitting down, but it'd still be great to see new IPs from them, to see what they could do. Maybe create one from the ground up for the Wii U, and to take advantage of the Wii U.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, I know that we've heard that Miyamoto's been working on something new for a while now, so it could be that we'll see something that has to do with that. I know that Nintendo is having a little presentation devoted to a 3DS game they haven't announced yet, so maybe it has something to do with Miyamoto's new IP. I think it's possible that we could see or hear something about what Miyamoto's been working on these past months and years even. So I don't think that's completely out of the question, but I also wonder if it is really true that we haven't seen any new character-based IPs in that long, because I almost feel like Dylan's Rolling Western counts, because there's been 2 games now.
Yeah, so I was speaking specifically about non-eShop games.
No, non-eShop games. And yeah, that's then yeah, I feel like the likeliest thing is that we'll see something about Miyamoto's new IP that he's been working on.
That would make sense. We've been hearing about that for a while, I feel like. And yeah, they do have that whole developer roundtable about the unannounced 3DS game, which very well could be a new IP. So yeah, I'm curious to see what that's going to be.
It seems, for my next prediction, it almost seems kind of obvious, especially with how well the first one sold. But I think we're going to hear from Square Enix announcing that Bravely Second is probably going to be coming to the US. I don't know if it's come out in Japan yet, but even if whenever it does come out in Japan, it's going to come out to the US, because Bravely Default sold so well and was such a great game and such a classic return to Final Fantasy that I think there really are, they might announce that Bravely Second will be coming to the U.S. this year, at this E3. And along those same lines, I hope they did those remakes for Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 4 and the DS. I wouldn't mind seeing the same thing for Final Fantasy 5 and 6. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be nice. I do completely agree with you that Bravely Second's going to come to the U.S. I don't know if they'll say anything about it at E3, and I definitely don't think it would be this year. I think, if anything, it would be early 2015, just because those games have so much text to localize. And we know how long it took them to bring the original Bravely Default here. So I do think that it's coming. Like you said, Bravely Default sold really well here in the US, and I think it surprised even Square Enix. So I think it's just a matter of time, but I don't know if we'll hear about it this soon.
All right, any more Nintendo predictions from you, Ash?
Yeah, I have one, and this isn't so much prediction as something I'm really ardently hoping for, but I think it's a possibility, and that is, I think it's around time that we hear about a new Rhythm Heaven game. It's been about 3 years and since Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Wii, and it feels time. There's so many things they could do with either the 3DS or the Wii U with the new Rhythm Heaven game, and those games they're so full of great ideas. And my head is just spinning just thinking of all the fun new things they could do with either stereoscopic 3D or the Wii U gamepad, or whatever. But I do think it's possible that we could hear something about a new Rhythm Heaven game.
I'd be down for it. I've never actually played a Rhythm Heaven game, so I'd like to try it out for once, and a new game is the perfect way to do that. So
you are missing out.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. So I hear.
So missing out. It's such a great series.
All right, so finally, my final prediction. It's not really a prediction, because I don't know if I actually think this will happen. But gonna throw it out there again. What do you think the odds are of Nintendo showing off some kind of new hardware, whether it's a revision of something existing, or even just talking about their quality of life platform, which we haven't heard much about since the original announcement? I guess he did touch on it briefly in the latest shareholder meeting. So what do you think the odds are of either of those happening?
I really, really hope they don't decide to talk about their quality of life system at E3. It seems like it might make the investors feel a bit better to see the reactions to it. But I want to see Nintendo try to bring the Wii U back to life. I want to see them try to really push the Wii U and get people to buy it. And I think a quality of life platform would just kind of harm that idea at this point, specifically at E3. Any other time announcing it is fine, but at E3 specifically, this is about the games, this is about their video game division. let's keep the quality of life stuff out. And as far as a new console, maybe a redesign, but I cannot see a new next generation system being announced. It's too soon. I think they have too much invested on the Wii U, and I think they're going to stick with it.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think we're going to hear about the quality of life platform at E3. And with the Wii U, I think the most we can maybe expect is like you said, Derek, either a redesign or maybe a new price point in terms of like maybe they'll do a version of the Wii U with more onboard storage. But I don't think, if they were to announce a new console this year, that would just confirm what everyone's already thinking about the Wii U in terms of them actually having confidence in it and supporting it. And I think that would piss off a lot of the fans who've kind of put their faith in Nintendo with the Wii U and bought one at launch or near launch. And I just think they have too much to lose by abandoning the Wii U that early, or at least giving the impression that they're abandoning the Wii U, so I don't think they'll do that. I do think we might actually see a new 3DS revision, though, because I know that recently on Nintendo's website, they've begun phasing out the original 3DS, or at least that's what I heard about. And so what they're really promoting more than anything now is 3DS XL and the 2DS. So I don't think it's out of the question that we'll see maybe a 3DS Lite, or something along those lines, where it's like a redesign of the original, or of the original 3DS. So it's kind of a smaller form factor for the 3DS, but for people who still kind of want that, higher quality and stereoscopic 3D that that the 2DS doesn't have.
Yeah, I think a revision of the 3DS could definitely happen. Because Nintendo has been all about those DS remakes too. Going back to the DS. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll see anything new from a console perspective. It is too soon to drop the Wii U, and it takes Nintendo a while to make new hardware anyway. It's possible they could refer it in just general loose terms, like kind of like they did with the Wii U. I think when they first announced it, I can't remember anymore. But they've talked about new hardware in very abstract terms before in the far future. They could do something like that here, but yeah, I think it is too soon for them to do that or drop the Wii U. But I do think it is possible that they could announce a new handheld successor. I don't think they will, but that is definitely more likely than a console, because the 3DS now is 3 years old, and they dropped the Game Boy Advance at that same, or that's about how long the Game Boy Advance lived before they announced the DS. And we've already seen the 3DS's momentum appears to be running out. It's still doing good, but its momentum has dropped in the last year. So I think it's possible they could talk about a successor, but it is getting to that point where, if not this year, I feel like next year it'd have to happen.
See, I still don't see it. I think the 3DS is. I've not heard about the 3DS losing momentum at all. Honestly,
it's if you track its sales year over year, as far as I know, it's been dropping.
Maybe that's happening, but I don't know. I feel like it's still once again too soon for them to drop the 3DS, because it does have such a good library, and there's so much. There is a lot of good things about the 3DS, so I can see a redesign, but I definitely can't see a new console yet. Well,
keep in mind that if they did announce it, it wouldn't be immediate. It would probably be for release next year, so that would be 4 years after the 3DS came out.
True, but that still feels. I don't know. It
feels fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel fast.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old, but it feels to me like the 3DS is still relatively. I don't want to say early in its life cycle, but it doesn't feel like it's late in its life cycle. It definitely doesn't feel like it's in its twilight years. To me, it still feels somewhat fresh and new and not really outdated. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see the 3DS, even begin to be phased out for a little while yet.
All right, well, that covers it for Nintendo predictions, but I think you guys have a few more for at least Sony's press conference.
Well, when it comes to the other consoles, I honestly don't have a Microsoft console. I've never had a Microsoft console, so it's hard for me to really state anything about that. But when it comes to Sony, I always, I definitely have some ideas. As far as what they're probably going to do, I think we can definitely agree that they're going to definitely show off a new God of War game.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to happen. They're probably going to show off more of the new Uncharted that's coming out. And we might get a new IP, or maybe even the return of an old IP, but I couldn't say which one.
Yeah, I do think God of War for PS4 is pretty much a given. I think just in general that Sony, I think they need to, and I think they will come out in a big way, kind of just showing a ton of new PS4 exclusives, because the main weakness for the PS4 right now, and I mean, it's a great console. I have one, and I want to use it more because I like it, but the library is really just lacking. I mean, especially after Infamous Second Son, there really isn't a whole lot on the horizon announced for this year to look forward to besides like Drive Club. And I think Sony knows that, and I think they're going to come out in a big way and say, look at all these amazing, exclusives coming to the PS4, look at all these great games we're going to have. And I think they're really going to focus on that in a big way. So I think God of War is going to be part of that. I think that there's never been a better time to show The Last Guardian. I think The Last Guardian is due for a reveal, or at least a re-reveal this year, because the PS4 really needs it. It needs to have some stuff announced for it. So I think that this might be The Last Guardian's year. I think we're going to get a ton of new info on Uncharted 4 and a release date. And I think we're going to get, well, I think it's pretty much obvious we'll get a release date for The Last of Us Remastered. So I think Sony's really going to come out in a big way with the PS4 this year.
Well, they kind of have to, too, if you look at Japan, where I think even the Wii U is outselling the PS4, and the Wii U is not doing well over there. So they definitely need to release, announce some things that'll excite the Japanese market, I would think.
Yeah. They especially have to because of the whole price drop with the Xbox One. So now they've lost that $100 edge. So now it really does come down to exclusives, and there's not much to look forward to in the fall right now. Order 1886 is delayed till 2015.
Exactly.
Arkham Knight has been delayed till 2015, and we really don't know what is coming for this winter. So that's a huge gap there that Sony needs to fill, which I think they are capable of filling. I think they do have some idea of what they can bring out to release for their system. At least I hope they do.
I think they do, but yeah, literally the only two games that we know of that are coming to PS4 later this year are Drive Club and Uncharted 4. So, and actually, we don't even know about Uncharted 4. We assume that it'll be like November, but it could be delayed. So, Drive Club is really the only definite thing they have penciled into their release schedule that I can think of for 2014. So, they've really got to come out and say, hey, we've got a ton of games coming out this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they show off, honestly. I'm looking forward to their press conference. Probably, second after Nintendo. Although I'm curious to see what Microsoft does as well. I mean, we'll be at all three. But I am... I mean, for me, ultimately, what I want to see from Microsoft's press conference is some Rare IP. Come on, bring back a Rare and some Rare games.
Hey, you got Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't.
They're doing a new one, I guess, or at least an update to it.
Oh, are they? Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't the big. I wasn't the biggest Killer Instinct fan originally. Give me some more Banjo or Jet Force Gemini or Perfect Dark or anything really besides Killer Instinct.
I don't know. I've gone on the record several times with various people saying that that the one thing that could get me to buy an Xbox One is a new Banjo-Kazooie game, and that's still true, and I would love that. But I also wonder if the magic would still be there, because so many of the staffers that we associate with the 64 era Rare are gone.
Yep.
And they've been making Kinect Sports for so many years now that I wonder if they made a new Banjo game, would the magic still be there?
So, I mean, it may not be. So I would be okay if Rare doesn't make it. Like, just get some competent development studio make that game. I don't know. I mean, that is it. It's a large part of those games' charm back in the day did come from Rare. Their games felt very distinct. They had a distinct personality. So that is something that could very well be lost these days. Especially with the fact that it's a whole different era now too. Things have changed. It would be difficult to update a lot of them, I think, for for the modern environment. And we've seen them run into that trouble before. But I would still like them to attempt the effort.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the question here. Is that Ash and I both have a PS4. Andre, you have no interest in either of them right now. So, is there anything that could really convince any of us to get an Xbox One?
Yeah, well, I'm actually pretty psyched about the Halo compilation. Actually, from what I've heard, it's basically confirmed at this point. And the things I've heard about it, which I can't really say, make me really excited for that. It's doing some things that I was concerned it wouldn't be. So I'm really I love those classic Halo games. The first two at least, and the second one only for multiplayer. So having all that in one package will be amazing. And beyond that, more Rare games or more Rare IP.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I know obviously that the Halo related stuff is coming. It's all but confirmed at this point. I was never personally a big Halo fan. I've never been a big shooter guy, so that wouldn't really, get me to get an Xbox One. But I do think they're going to blow out Forza Horizon 2 in a big way. And on that note, I may be alone in this, but maybe the other one thing that could get me to buy an Xbox One is if Bandai Namco came out of nowhere and said, hey, we used to do these new Ridge Racer titles for new console launches. We missed out on PS4 and Xbox One.
Right.
We're bringing Ridge Racer, 8, Ridge Racer 8 to Xbox One exclusively. I am such a hardcore Ridge Racer fan that might be enough to get me to jump on board.
Andre has Halo. You have Ridge Racer if they ever announce that and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't think even like a rare IP would be able to convince me to get an Xbox One. I'm just like, none of their IPs have ever really made me want to get an Xbox console. I've enjoyed what I've played of them, but they're just not. They don't attract me personally, especially since a lot of the games I like are on both either both Sony console and the Xbox console. Mm-hmm. The closest I ever came when it came to RPGs on the Xbox 360 with Tales of Vesperia and the one done by Sakaguchi.
Lost Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey, that one.
Yeah.
I heard those were amazing, and that's the closest I ever came to get a 360 just to play those games. So if they can come up with a new IP that just looks absolutely amazing and must play, sure, I'll look at an Xbox One, but as of right now, it's just not enough for me.
You know what I want to see? Crimson Skies 2. That was my first Xbox Live game. I loved the hell out of that game. Again, for multiplayer mostly, but even single player was fun. If they brought that game back, and I guess it wouldn't. I forget who published that, so I don't know if it would have to be an Xbox One exclusive. I don't know I can't remember the details. But if they brought that game back, that would convince me even if they just updated it, that would convince me to get an Xbox One. I love the hell out of that game. I would love to see it come back.
Yeah,
it never got the trade, but I did hear a lot of people say how much they liked that game.
Yeah, just dogfighting in that game was a ton of fun, and and actually that gets back to the whole Star Fox thing. If Star Fox comes back and they can make a good multiplayer mode, Star Fox 64 kind of got close, but it was still flawed. Like, they made a great Star Fox multiplayer, a dogfighting mode. I would be so in love with that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I think that's almost the key to getting people to buy it, because look at Mario Kart 8. I think a lot of people got Mario Kart 8 because of the online.
Right. Yeah.
And the experience that they could have with friends on there. So, because this is Wii U has a much better online infrastructure than the Wii did, so that helps.
Yeah.
Now, as far as favorites, for me, of course, it's Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. Both games I freaked out about last year at E3. Super excited.
I saw you freak out about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, shut up.
I was somewhere in the audience around you guys doing the same thing, because I lost my shit.
Yeah, pretty much the same here for me. I mean, it was just, you were hoping for so long to finally see it. It was just like an ecstatic, moment for yourself. So that was just awesome. So I do expect to hear more about both of these games. I don't know if I doubt we'll see the release of either of them this year. I think that we'll see Final Fantasy 15 next year, and we'll probably see Kingdom Hearts 3 in 2016 sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as much as I hate to agree with you there, I do agree with you. I personally, FF15 looks exciting to me, but I'm much more excited about Kingdom Hearts 3, and I would like to see that first, but I do agree that 15 is going to come first. I do think we're going to see trailers of both, new trailers of both. And actually, another Square prediction, I have two. Going to Square Enix, I do think that they're going to announce Final Fantasy XII HD Remaster. They've said multiple times that if 10 and 10.2 HD Remaster sold well enough, they would do 12, and I think they said that kind of, I think they already had it in the planning stages when they said that. 12 has kind of garnered its own hardcore kind of cult following. Personally, I'm not a big fan of 12, and I know that'll probably piss off a lot of people listening to this. I didn't like it at all. But what I know of the international Zodiac version that only came out in Japan, it addresses a lot of the issues I had with 10, and I would love to give it another chance in an HD version. So I do think we're going to get that announcement, and I think it'll be based on the international Zodiac version. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts on that?
I could I could see them doing that. I mean, 10 did do quite well, and that was a great update. It was awesome to get the international version, so this would be a perfect way. I mean, these HD remakes from Square have been the best way to get these international versions for Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts that we've never gotten before. So just on that basis alone, they're great for US fans. Like you, I wasn't the biggest fan of 12. I never actually beat it. I just found it too much of a grind, quite literally. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't really click with me. But I'd love to, once again, give it another shot. But personally, if we're going for favorites, if we're going for remakes, I'd like to see 9.
Oh, yeah, I would too. I mean, if we're talking about what I'd like to see, I would like to see 6, 9, 8. A lot of games
all of them.
12, but basically. But I think 12 is what's going to happen.
Yeah, 5 through 9.
Yeah,
let's
basically.
see remakes of.
I'm really excited to play Kingdom Hearts 2.5 at E3 because I mean, if we're talking about international versions, very few of them have added more content over the original than Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix did.
Oh yeah.
On the Western branch of Square Enix, I do think we're going to see a formal reveal of the new Tomb Raider, because they've kind of Crystal Dynamics has gone on record several times now saying that they're already hard at work on the new Tomb Raider sequel. The one that takes place after the new reboot. So I don't know, it's not going to be playable for sure, but I think we might get at least a teaser trailer for the new Tomb Raider.
I can see that happening. I really enjoyed that remake, that reboot. It played very well. I was actually kind of surprised at how much I really did enjoy it, because I've tried getting into Tomb Raider games before, and they never really clicked with me. But for this one, it really did hit that sweet spot for me.
Yeah, same here. I completely agree. I was never a big Tomb Raider fan before, but this new one really clicked with me.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Do you guys have any final predictions at all, or thoughts, or anything?
I do have one more with Capcom,
okay.
Or a couple more with Capcom. I think it's pretty much all but guaranteed we're going to see Resident Evil 7 announced. PS4, Xbox One. I just think it's going to happen. I think it's time, and I feel and I hope and I feel like we could see it take a pretty radical departure from Resident Evil 5 and 6, because the series is, I think a lot of fans agree that the series has kind of lost its way. As of late, and I think Capcom knows that. So rather than do a full hard reboot, I think they're going to go forward with Resident Evil 7. But I think they're going to try to maybe go more the Revelations route, and kind of make it more focused on pure horror rather than action. Because Revelations was really well received, and so I think they want to bring Resident Evil as a whole back to what it used to be.
I could see that. I mean, I did hear the best news, a really good reaction to Revelations. Never actually played it myself, but, if they return to that classic, because I never played 6, but I did enjoy 4. I, of course, loved 4.
Right.
Enjoyed 5 enough, but never got 6, just heard too many bad things about it, so I just sort of skipped it.
I would have said before that they would announce DMC 2, of course, the new DMC, but now that they've said they're kind of going back on their efforts to outsource more of their games to Western developers and kind of, pulling everything back into Japanese development, I think we might actually see a new core Devil May Cry game, like Devil May Cry 5. Maybe even just a teaser, but I feel like we'll whatever it is, I think we're going to get some sort of Devil May Cry related announcement this year.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not sure, not sure whether it'll be for the alternate series or the classic, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, of course, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Do you guys think at all if we'll see some form of Mega Man from Capcom? The only reason I ask this is because they do have the momentum from Nintendo putting him in Smash Brothers, so theoretically that might be able to increase sales, because Fire Emblem came to the US after Melee because of Marth and Roy being in there. With Mega Man appearing in Smash Brothers, that might be a new generation interested in this character and wanting to try out some of his games. So I don't know if we'll get a new game, but we might be able to see a compilation at least. I'd love a huge compilation of including Classic, X, all these of his iterations in just one massive collection.
Yeah, now would be the time, but I don't think it will happen because that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Mega Man's such a strange thing with them because they obviously know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the character's still wildly popular. I mean, look at the reaction everyone had to Mega Man being in Smash Brothers. They know the character's popular, especially in America. You know, they know that people want him, but you know, there's a whole falling out with Keiji Inafune with, you know, Mighty Number 9, and there's a lot of, you know, I mean, we all know that you know, Japanese businesses, a lot of it is based on honor and good faith, and you know, there's a big falling out there, and I know a lot of people at Capcom are not happy with how that went down. And, you know, I kind of get the sense that they're just kind of sitting on Mega Man just to kind of stick it to Inafune. And as silly as that sounds to us, that wouldn't be that out of the question for them. So I don't think Mega Man's dead. Obviously he's not dead because they're making, you know, they're putting him in Smash Brothers. But I don't think we're going to hear anything this year. I really would like to, and it really makes me sad to say that. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. I just don't.
Well, I think that wraps up for most of our predictions, but I do have one more, and that's the fact that I'm going to be really tired in about a week.
Yes.
You're not tired now?
I mean, yeah, that's why. That's partially why. It's going to be even worse. All right, well, I think there's a lot to look forward to. This should be a very exciting E3. A lot of, you know, big stuff that we already know about, and probably even more big stuff that we don't know about. So it'd be curious to see if any of our predictions come true. So thanks guys for watching. If you liked our video, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on E3, tons more of course, and other things gaming as well. All right, thanks guys. Bye.